Within seconds, I found myself looking in the eyes of Wasim, a fat, short-tempered dealer who worked for Abrash Ali Khan, the man I was looking for. As I approached him, the music almost matched my footsteps, and as soon as the beats dropped, I put two bullets into him, one in the shoulder and one in his big fat belly. He fell on the pillar behind him, unable to comprehend what had happened. His men, on the other hand, turned behind and started retaliating. I shot at two more, killing one and injuring one other, while my friends took down five others as everyone started their fires. The music rocking nightclub was loud, but not loud enough to shout the magnificent sound of gunfire. All the rich kids stopped dancing and looked towards the source of the noise. The darkness on the ramp built around the central arena didn't allow them much to see, but when people start firing bullets at each other, things break, skulls shatter, and people tend to die. By the time warm blood starts spraying across your faces or when random bodies start falling on brightly lit dance floor, no drug or drink could save you from experiencing the primordial emotion that is hardwired into the human mind: fear. I took cover behind a pillar as our rivals came out and started firing on us. Looking at the man standing next to me, I signaled him to go out first as I bent low to avoid the rubble that was blasting off from the pillars. He launched himself out and bravely opened his assault while also drawing the attention towards himself. They all took their shots at him, killing the poor sod instantly, but left the window open for me. Slinging automatic guns in both my hands, I came out from behind the pillar. One, two, three, and the three of them went down. I did not stop and rushed ahead along with the five men trailing behind me towards the dying Wasim and held him by his neck. "Where's Abrash? Where's he hiding?" I yelled at him. But he was unable to respond. The blood oozing out from his mouth made it impossible for him to speak. He was shivering with pain, trying hard to breathe and pleading before his death to let him live. But I wasn't in the business of saving lives. I placed the barrel of my gun in the middle of his head and pulled the trigger, spraying the wall behind red and adorning it with his blood and brains. I got up gradually, looked around as I reloaded my guns, while glancing at the seven of my men who were busy wreaking havoc on the floor above. They were loud, they were barbaric, they were borderline animals, just the way I wanted them to be. My men marched ahead, shooting down three or four on the ramps casually before coming outside the door of the dealer's room. If I had to find a brush, he had to be in there. One of my men kicked the metal door open and was met by a bullet to his face. My enemies were prepared for the battle, it seemed. But the rest of us jumped in and started firing at any shadow that moved. The room was large, hexagon, filled with smoke, only the wicked red lights lighting the space and reflecting off the dull ochre-colored pads mounted on the walls were visible. But clear vision or low visibility, nothing would stop my kill machines. I took to the right as we all spread out after entering the room. 1, 2, 4, 6. I kept on firing at my targets, whom I could barely see through the thick cloud of smoke. I believe I shot 5 men down before something hard hit on the side of my head. I turned around to see a rather burly man taking his swings at me like a professional boxer. He twisted my wrists in no time, unarmed me, and started cracking his punches on my face right and left. He was powerful, the force of his blows magnificent, and he definitely knew what he was doing. I tried hard to fend him off and grab one of my guns which had fallen down, but he was someone whom I couldn't have defeated with the brute force. He slammed my head onto the bar counter inside and rammed his fists on my chest, probably even breaking a rib. But I was helpless, and the lack of visibility in that chamber of red smoke only made it harder for me to make sense of what was happening. He left me for a second as he looked for my gun on the floor, and that was all the window that I needed. I grabbed a tequila bottle which was placed on the counter and shattered it gloriously on his plump face, soaking him in the heavenly poison, the glass from the bottle cutting him. I didn't waste any more time, as I grabbed a lighter, lit it, and propelled it on his face. He torched up faster than a firecracker, and the tequila that was spread all over him burned fiercely. The burly giant met his primordial emotion too. He ran around blindly while yelling at the top of his voice, his burning face piercing through the red smoke spread in the room. He collided soon with a wall and falling to the ground, squealing in pain. I took in a deep breath as I wiped off the little blood that was bleeding from my lips. I looked around angrily and picked up one of my guns, emptying it entirely on that fallen burning man in epic frustration. In the meantime, my boys had brought down the rest in the room and we were all covered in the enemy's blood. They found a brush on the floor above. They are bringing him in. One of my men, Stalin, uttered to me. I took a moment to myself and closed my eyes as I let the pain from the beating subdue. Torch this room, I ordered him and brought up my hand to be handed another gun, before slowly moving back and standing outside the room. I let my dark eyes wander around one of the most popular nightclubs of Mumbai. The blinding lights were still rolling, the thundering music was still echoing, but nobody was dancing anymore. The party freaks, they huddled in the dark corners, crouching down and looking at the men before with horror in their eyes. The blood on the floor appeared jet black due to the lights shining from below, while the bodies of my enemies rested at peace all around me. There was an eerie silence that was spread everywhere. Say what you will, but the club had one hell of a sound system, and the song turned almost dramatic as my eyes met that of my brain. Whatever it takes, I muttered to myself. There he was, Abrash Ali Khan, considered a prodigy in the drug world of Mumbai. He thought he was immortal, and I was glad to finally see him in the middle of the dance floor on his knees, begging his life from me, and clearly missing one hand from below his wrist. I trotted ahead, all eyes on me, expecting me to fire the last bullet of the night. So I obliged and gave my audience what they wanted. I stuck the barrel of my gun to Abrash's bald head and pulled the trigger without leaving any space for any last moment dialogue. A single deadly bullet entered his head and passed through to the other side. There was hardly a sound, and there was hardly any horror upon the horrified faces of the people who crouched all around. It was peaceful, heavenly almost, and it was his end. I looked all across for one last time into the perturbed eyes of the crowd and the respectable ones of my men. It was a job well done, and it was a job that would change the face of gang wars of Mumbai. But for the time, I was a happy man. Yes, I was a bright young mind who created and failed his multi-million-dollar startup. So I became a bright young mind who formed one of the richest criminal empires in the history of this country. And this is my story. Hey guys, so that was the prologue of Gangs of Bombay, my second novel, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, first of all. Secondly, it was an all-out action scene, so I like to keep my prologues really action-based and just going all out, just to drag the readers into the world which you are creating. Anyway, so the next video which I'm going to post is how do you write an action scene. So if you have seen this video till now, there is a structure behind those words. There is a start, there's an end, there's a middle, there is a purpose behind that scene. It's just not random gunfires and action scenes. Okay. So in the next video, I'm going to explain how to write an action scene. Till then, enjoy the scene. If you liked it, do share it on your stories. If you did not, do not dislike it. That's all I can ask. Thank you so much. Bye.